The reign of this pain is about to wane. These are the interesting times. Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnson and welcome to The Interesting Times, a political comedy show from right here in the UK. The big news this week is that it rained. Yes, alright, that's not big news, at least for most of us.
I hope that my work since I became Prime Minister shows that we have a plan and are prepared to take bold action necessary for our country to flourish. Now, I've stuck with that plan and always been honest with you about what is needed, even when that's been difficult.
That was our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, finally experiencing what it's like to be on the receiving end of trickling down, talking about plans, when he's managed not only to not plan for rain in the UK, but also not plan for rain when it's raining, making him less prepared than the guy that put out the podium, who at least wore a waterproof jacket, at which point things could really not get any worse. But ironically,
At least the forces of Islamist extremism threaten regional and ultimately global stability. These tensions are exploited by extremists who seek to undermine our values and
outblasted by D. Ream's 90s dance hit and political anthem used by Tony Blair's party, the last Labour government, Sunak battled on, even though, quite frankly, at times it looked like he was miming to the song, and gave everyone the news we've been waiting to hear.
Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
An election? This early? It appears that Rishi Sunak was drowned out not only by the music and weather, but also the voices in his head.
I've been getting texts, WhatsApp messages from Tory MPs. Let me read some of them.
Please do.
These are from Tory MPs. What an awful moment for the PM. He's taking us over a cliff. This is madness, drowning in madness.
So why do it? Okay, let's hear from some journalists. Some of them you'll spot have umbrellas because it's outside. And in case we didn't mention it, it was, raining.
Why has he called it?
It's interesting, he didn't even talk about that in the statement. You'd expect an explanation, we didn't get one. I understand the stuff that's been discussed with his inner circle inside Number 10 is that the fiscal event that was planned for the autumn, maybe giving another tax cut.
Two words that come to mind so far as the Prime Minister's decision is concerned is he's either very brave or extremely foolhardy.
I have to say, when the Prime Minister first started speaking, I thought, and I don't know whether you thought this too, it sounded as if the Prime Minister was making a resignation speech.
Oliver Dowden, the Deputy Prime Minister, I'm told, wanted to go sooner. One source in Downing Street told me tonight that they thought that Michael Gove in Cabinet summed it up the best today when he spoke of the Prime Minister's approach. Michael Gove apparently saying in Cabinet, who dares wins, and in the end it was the Prime Minister's decision and his decision alone.
Yes, he's basically done so on the basis of a catchphrase by a wheeler-dealer conman. And on the advice of the Rodney to his Del boy, Oliver Dowden.
What a 42-carat plonker you really are!
But let's hear from the man himself, as he came back in and realised between the rain and the trolling jukebox, he forgot to mention why he was calling an election, and also that there was no Union Jacks in shot. So, as he'd only mentioned the United Kingdom about 30 or 14 times, people might not realise how patriotic he was. Time for another video. Let's make this one indoors. Ready? Camera, action. I'm forgetting something. Camera, action. Nope, never mind. Start filming.
I've just come back in from calling the general election and I wanted to explain to you why. This morning we received the welcome news that inflation has returned to normal. Now this is a sign that our plan and our priorities are working. But this hard-won economic stability was only ever meant to be the beginning.
The beginning? You've been in power for 1.5 decades. Is your economic plan measured in eons, or does it just feel that way? So, then on to the campaign launch itself.
Give me a huge, huge, huge welcome
to our party leader, our Prime Minister.
Not a good idea to be introducing Rishi Sunak with huge. All right, Sunak, all you've got to do is walk onto the podium and not look weird. That's all. God, this is terrible. And look at David Cameron. He looked happier when the country voted Brexit. A Sky reporter then got kicked out of this campaign launch. Why? Don't know. Maybe CCHQ saw this.
We can start to rebuild Britain and change our country. Thank you.
Well, there you go. The Keir Starmer, the man who wants to be the Prime Minister.
Now, that's a man that knows when to leave a podium and also when to make a speech indoors. So the date has been set and the campaigning is underway.
The Prime Minister is not on Good Morning Britain. It's Rishi Sunak.
So there's 6 weeks to go, and of course he should. He should do all the media.
The problem with asking Rishi Sunak to do all the media is that Rishi Sunak ends up doing all the media. All of this is from the first 24 hours. I kid you not.
Let's talk about the NHS, and specifically I'd like you to address the issue of the pledge in 2019 to build 40 new hospitals by 2030. Now, you're asking people to trust you and the Conservative Party on a number of issues, including the NHS. Where are you with that pledge to build 40 new hospitals?
Yes, we are fully committed to those 40 hospitals. That I haven't got the numbers right in front of me.
It's been tested again. A bit fishy.
Well, immigration is an important issue in this election, and the security of our borders is important.
Why not wait?
Well, let's just look at what we've done when it comes to legal migration.
Why not wait for the flights to take off? Let people see whether they have an impact, a deterrent impact, creeping into the numbers crossing the channel.
So if I could just answer the question on migration, legal migration. The numbers are too high. I've said that I'll bring them down. They're already down by a quarter this year. That shows that the plan is working. And
he said that Britain is growing faster than America. True, but only true if you look at 3 months of data. 1 quarter, which, as you know, no economist would ever do, take 1 quarter on its own. If you take the data for the past year, the United States grew by 3%. Britain grew by 0.2%. If you take the pandemic, before the pandemic and since it, America has grown by 8.7%. Britain grew by 1.7%. It isn't true to say that Britain is growing faster than America, is it?
Well, the facts are the facts.
It's going to be a struggle to keep up. Maybe instead of a weekly show, I should really do a daily show. But what would I call it?
This is The Daily Show.
No idea. But if doing all the media hasn't worked out for Sunak, maybe he should do all the public. Let's be honest, he's had plenty of practice. And following on from being unable to organise an umbrella in the rain, Sunak decided to go to a Welsh brewery. And yes, the joke you're thinking about right now is relevant.
So you're looking forward to all the football?
Not so much my bag. But
Get people in.
No, but that's because you guys aren't in it.
Get people out.
Rishi asking a country that failed to qualify for all the football this summer if they're looking forward to all the football this summer is peak Sunak. No, there's only one thing for it. The public can't be trusted to fall into line, and the media is clearly going on their own agenda. I mean, whose idea was that? If you want something done, or indeed a question asked, you've got to do it yourself.
Got some time for some questions. Let's open it up. Who's got some hands up? Right, OK, let's start there and let's go there. Brilliant. Right,
so, thank you and welcome to Area Wash. In the distribution centre, it turned out 2 questioners in high-vis jackets didn't actually work there, but were specially invited Tory councillors.
Rishi Sunak went to a McVitie's factory in Derbyshire, and to make sure he didn't crumble, the 2 softball questions he was given weren't from McVitie's employees at all, but 2 Tory councillors in high-vis jackets. I mean, that really takes the biscuit. But what choice does he have? Sunak is really up against it.
Rishi Sunak knows that he's the underdog. In fact, calling himself the underdog is pretty much a large part of his campaign.
Being rained on when calling a general election when you're 20 plus points behind in the polls and you're being trolled by campaign music from the last Labour government and only getting the job because the last incumbent who beat you in the leadership election lost to a vegetable not known for its enduring qualities makes you less of an underdog and more of an old shoelace on a discarded shoe that belonged to a flea that finished bottom in their class for hitching rides on the underdog. He's not an underdog, he's an over and out dog. It's starting to look like the only votes he's going to get are sympathy ones. And yes, things can only get better, but only for the rest of us. Thank you all so much for watching, and yes, because of work, the next Interesting Times won't be back for a couple of weeks. But it'll be a straight run then until the general election. Thank you. Take care.